You're tuned into BuildHer Media. We are all about economic empowerment, bringing you interviews from amazing women of color worldwide who defied the odds, beat statistics, and became successful founders, creators, and entrepreneurs. Be sure to follow us, subscribe, and hit the like button on all our social media. Go to buildher.co.uk, the ultimate online space for girls and women of Black origin. We are sisters moving forward. Okay, so thank you for joining me today. I'm Damilola Shoyoye, the founder and CEO of BuildHer, a crowdfunding and mentoring platform for women of Black and Brown origin. Our mission is to financially and economically empower women and girls of Black origin due to the barriers that we face caused by and contributing to a lack of access to capital. I'm really excited to be joined by a special guest today, and her name is Gaelle Mokoy. Gaelle Mokoy is an entrepreneur, a marketing strategist, a business growth developer, and just all-around badass. She helps entrepreneurs and SMEs create marketing strategies that will help them stand out in the marketplace and amongst their competition. Thank you so much for joining us today, Gaelle.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So let's get right into this discussion. So You've been in the marketing game for over 8 years now. And
well, actually, sorry to cut you. It is over 8 years, but I've been doing this as a freelancer for 4 years now. So working with businesses one-to-one for 4 years. Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. So what initially brought you into the whole industry, the kind of marketing industry?
Well, I studied it, at my undergrad at university. I studied it, and when I graduated, I wanted to get as far away from it as possible. Simply because, because university wasn't what, I thought it would be. Especially my last year. My last year I found it very difficult. I didn't enjoy it at all. So I was like, no, let's get away from this altogether. But over time, it's a skill that I have, and it kept on pulling me. It kept on, saying, come back here. You have skills that can be used. And for the last 4 years now, I have been working with individuals, single entrepreneurs, sole traders, and SMEs to help them grow and develop. Yeah.
Amazing. And what is it about the SMEs and entrepreneurs and business people that really excites you, that you knew this is the field that you wanted to kind of tap into?
Of course. Well, first of all, it's the one-on-one contact. I feel that I can speak to the decision maker, especially because when it's an SME, they don't have large teams. You don't have to speak to someone who then needs to speak to finance, who then needs to speak to logistics. No, it's straight on. It's smaller teams. You get answers done quicker, you get things done a lot quicker as well. It's a lot more agile. So I felt at ease there. I felt that, any proposition that I may have will get listened to quickly and implemented when needed.
Okay, amazing. And then in the past 4 or even 8 years that you've been in the industry, what changes and trends have you kind of seen over the years? This could be either good or bad.
In terms of changes, well, the main change that I have seen, of course, is the shift from sort of pushing products towards people to actually telling a story, to taking the time to connect with the customer that way, to make sure that they understand and that the values, mesh and work together. And also, you see a big growth, like especially, I think, from when I've left university. There's been a huge growth in people wanting to be entrepreneurs, people wanting to work for themselves. And I will never knock the 9-to-5 hustle because, it fed me for a very long time. But this shift in wanting to leave a legacy, especially people felt that, the entrepreneurial route was the one for them. So definitely that's been the shift that I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so important what you said, like telling a story. I think that is a mistake that, I don't know if you still see some brands doing that. They're still just trying to push a product, and there's no kind of, what's the story behind this, And I feel like people do want to get to know the person behind brands nowadays, would you say?
Oh, definitely, definitely. I mean, that's what happens with a lot of brands, especially people who've just started. You know, it's like, well, I post about my product. I don't understand why people don't want to, buy it. And I have to explain to them, well, faceless brands don't work anymore. Only I feel large corporations can afford to be faceless. Even if they're faceless, they still have advocates that are their faces. Whereas as a smaller organization, you cannot afford, even if you don't show your physical face, you have to show that there is somebody behind there. There is a heart behind the business, there is a heart behind the product. Yeah.
Amazing. And do you think this trend of, the people want to know a face or be familiar with a personality behind a brand or business, how do you think that's going to look in maybe 5-10 years from now? What do you think is going to be developing?
I think it's only going to grow. Definitely, especially considering in the UK, we're entering another recession, unfortunately. People would be a lot more careful with what they buy, just like the last recession. People will be a lot more careful with what they buy, with what they do with their money, etc. So if you think that you're just going to come in here and say, hey, here's my brother, buy it now, they're not going to care. Who are you? Where have you come from? What's your story? Like, it needs to be even stronger in the next 5 years or so. Yeah.
Amazing. And why is marketing so important for for an individual or a business or a brand? Like, why is it it's almost a do or die affair, I think, nowadays, and some people still don't really understand the necessity. So why is it so important?
Well, if there is no marketing, it will basically mean that you are pushing your business to a room in the dark. Your customer might be there, but if they don't know who you are, if they don't know that you're there, they will not buy from you. That is the importance of marketing. So from when you have a business idea to the execution to being 3, 5, 10 years in, marketing is always very important, because it will not only show your audience that you're there, but it will help them see your story from beginning to where you are, to how you've evolved, to how they can evolve with you as well. So it's very important, yes.
Amazing. There are people who don't quite understand the difference, and I think it was only until recently I even got the difference as well, Gaelle, between marketing and branding and PR and advertising. So people who get it maybe confused, what's the main differences?
Well, the thing with all of those terms, they do this. They all work together. You cannot have one without the other. So marketing is basically letting your audience know that you're there. It's like, hey, I'm here, pay attention to me. Advertising is a snapshot of your product in time. Okay, so whether you're releasing a new product at that specific time, you want to push that to your audience. Okay, PR is basically using other avenues to promote your business or your product. So for example, if you have a magazine that talks about you, if you have influencers that talk about you, if you have you appear on TV, that is good PR for you. Okay, and branding is basically everything that your brand is, and how your audience can relate to that.
I love that. That was an amazing breakdown. So I hope somebody is going to take away from this, and be much more clear on the differences, because, like you said, they're intertwined, but each of them are crucial in its own way.
Indeed.
And is it like a chicken and an egg problem? Like, which one comes first?
Oh, yes.
When you're
I think
a brand or business.
I think that with that's a very good question, actually. That's a really good question, but I can't describe it as a chicken and an egg thing, because it's always there. It's always present, Like I said before, from the idea to the execution to being 2, 5, 10 years in, all of those things are always there, but you use them in different ways. Like, so for example, when you're brand new, you have to work twice as hard, because nobody knows you, nobody trusts you, nobody has ever heard of your brand. So why would I part ways with my money for you? Okay, so you have to use that twice as hard. as you start to grow, rather than rely a lot more on marketing, you rely on the strength of your brand and PR, okay, to push any new products that you have, any new things that you want to do, any change with regards to your branding. Like, for example, Apple. Who doesn't know Apple? Who hasn't heard of Apple? But over time, like, Apple doesn't advertise. If you think about it, Apple rarely advertises. But they use PR. They use a lot of PR, especially around this time of year, because everyone is expecting a new release of an iPhone or a new range, you know, of Apple products.
Yeah.
So they
especially coming close to Christmas, right?
Exactly.
Christmas presents.
Exactly. Yes. So they use PR, you know, to they go to specific places. They use specific influencers, people that know about tech, to talk about their product, to create that buzz, you know, to create that, oh my God, there's a new product coming. What is it going to look like? Especially the price range, you know. When they created the pods, people were like, why have you done this, Apple? You know, all of these things to create that buzz, to have people talk about it.
I love that. And speaking of Apple, my husband and I were literally watching an advert recently, an Apple advert for, it was probably a new Mac. And basically the advert was just showcasing a load of different British celebrities. And then it said the Mac or Apple made in the UK. And my husband was like, but it's all made in China. That's a blatant lie, but that's like, it's good, it's good marketing or good branding. And I was just like, so what are your thoughts on, you know, do you have to kind of stretch the truth a little bit at times when thinking of marketing and branding? Because sometimes, or is that sales? Because sometimes you see things, you know, being sold or marketed, and they're not exactly 100% true, if you get what I'm trying to say. I'll give you another example. Kylie Jenner, the youngest billionaire in the world, or so and so. It then comes out, and she was branded like that by Forbes, you know, a few years ago, then came out recently, and then they were like, oh, actually, that was complete lie. So it's like, how important is like honesty in you know, building a brand?
It's very important. It's very important, because with the whole Kylie Jenner thing, I'm not a big fan of that, of the whole, you know, like Jenner Kardashian family. So I try to stay away from what they do. However, it is very important, because people will feel lied to, people will feel betrayed. You know, it's especially, it's okay if it is like that, but do not lie to us. You know, do not tell us. Like, for example, when let me use Kylie as an example again. When she was started to become very big, you know, on social media, etc., and her makeup was becoming the talk of the town. Now, I'm sure every person, their auntie and their uncle, knew that she had had lip injections. Everyone knew. We did, okay? But she said, oh, well, no, it's the lip pencil, okay? She affiliated herself with the lip pencil from MAC, and that lip pencil was sold out for weeks on end, okay? Crazy. She did stretch the truth. She did stretch the truth. However,
that's an understatement, but okay.
let me put it politely.
Yeah.
She stretched the truth. However, from stretching that truth, it worked in the favor of the brand. Okay, we all knew, and we all know it's very obvious. Okay, but at the same time, she also used that to her favor to create her own makeup line, which was sold out and selling out for months. Now, the whole thing with Forbes, I would say, personally, they didn't do their due diligence. Okay, they should have done that. You know, apparently she's been known for inflating her numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, she has been known. Allegedly. So that, yes, allegedly, yes. Well, that has been known allegedly within a lot of people, so they should have done their due diligence before doing that. And if she was branded like that, you know, it did her a favor in being seen differently as just a Kardashian Jenner, but as a serious businesswoman. So it worked in her favor as well. Yeah.
I love that. And now I want to talk about the beauty industry a little bit. I think it's most girls and women's favorite topics, you know, makeup and skincare and everything. I'm a little strange in that. I'm just kind of like new to the game recently. I know, girl, like, don't shoot me. Honestly, I'm just getting into everything like now. So like, I'm just fascinated by how many different makeup lines are out there. You've got, Patricia Bright makeup, you've got Jackie Aida, you've got, all these wonderful, women. And I'm just like, what's the difference? Like, why? Surely an eyeshadow palette is an eyeshadow palette. So what is making these people go from one, what makes me to choose this person's palette over this person's palette? And is that the power of marketing and branding?
Yes and no. Speaking from someone who is, although I'm not worrying on any today, I'm an avid makeup user, and I promise you, an eyeshadow palette is not just an eyeshadow palette. A lipstick is not just a lipstick. There is a lot that goes into it in terms of formulation, in terms of the color pigmentation, etc. But let's not go into that.
Oh Lord, yes, okay.
Yes, but there is a lot that goes into it. But in terms of branding especially, I think it's again what the brands represent. Okay, for example, I'm going to use Patricia Bright, the makeup palette that she did with Makeup Revolution, Jackie Aina with Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I'm also going to use MAC. Okay. Now, MAC is a known name in the industry. Known. Who doesn't know MAC? I think the first foundation that I ever bought was from MAC. Okay. MAC was relying on the strength of its name, very much so, because it's been in the industry. It's quality, etc. However, MAC was not listening to its customers when a lot of their customers were complaining about the quality of the foundation. We use it a lot, but it's too oily. You need to change the formulation. They weren't listening.
Right.
And then you have other brands coming out being very innovative, but also listening to the audience in terms of the colors that they want, in terms of the makeup looks that they want, and then partnering with the likes of Patricia Bright, with the likes of Jackie Aina, who are the strong people in the game. Okay. And then MAC started to play catch up, realizing that they were losing out a bit. So I think now it is a mixture of everything, which is why I brought up the formulation and the pigmentation. It's a mixture of quality, definitely quality, but also branding, the strength of your brand and the strength of the brand of the people that you are working with. Definitely putting the two together and you have something magnificent there.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. And yes, no, don't mean to cause offense to all the avid makeup lovers and users. I said I'm new to the game, so I'm just like, oh my gosh, all these different, it can be so overwhelming sometimes, like all these different lipsticks and eyeshadows and foundations, and I'm like, what's the difference? But I'll get there. Don't worry. And in terms of marketing, what is your number one advice or number one tip that a woman listening right now can immediately go and implement in her business or in her brand?
Knowing your audience, always. That's the most important thing. Knowing who you're talking to. Because like I said, you could be having an amazing product, something great that you want to put out there in the market, but if you don't know who you're talking to, you're literally talking to people in the room in the dark. Okay, that will literally make you feel like you're wasting your time. It'll make you feel disheartened. It'll make you feel like you're doing everything wrong. So knowing your audience is definitely very important.
And speaking of knowing your audience, do you have, Gaelle, a particular clientele that you work with, a particular group that you focus on, or? Yes, I do. And I'm going to say that I did not know that at first. Okay, mm-hmm. So my main target when I first started was just mainly, small businesses, mm-hmm. Small to medium businesses, entrepreneurs who were just starting out, who didn't know what to do. And then over time, I realized that, because I've had this entrepreneurial mindset since I started university. From the first year of university, I'm like, I'm going to run my own business. I'm going to have my own business, and that's that. Over time, whilst I was trying to set up shop, every idea that I had when I went to a business advisor, they were always shutting me down. There was always like, it's not going to work. That's not a good idea. The market is not right, etc., etc., etc.
the more I started to work, the more I started to realize that my target audience was me, women like me, who, for lack of better words, were failed by the system, because every time you go to an advisor, you get told no. Not because they don't believe in your idea specifically, but because they don't understand you. Absolutely. They don't understand you as a Black woman. They don't understand your culture. They don't understand where you come from. I remember, I think in my first or second year of uni, I went to see a business advisor, and I said, there are no African restaurants in Manchester. I'm Manchester based. There are no African restaurants in Manchester, actual restaurant, not takeaways or anything like that. A proper fine dining restaurant, and that's something I want to create. And straight away, it's like, no, that's not going to work. That's not what we're interested in. And of course, I'm not going to say, you know, it was racial profiling or anything like that, but he was seeing it from the point of view of a white man. Absolutely. I am not interested in African food. I know the people that I know are not interested in African food, so we will not buy. Exactly. But if I had, you know, a Black woman or a Black man, he would perhaps have given me more, you know, a little bit more time. He would have listened to me a lot more. So with that, I realized that my audience is a Black audience, predominantly female, who always gets told it's not going to work because they are misunderstood. Yeah. That has given me goosebumps, like literally. I love that message so much. And this is what I always, you know, talk about as well. And part of the reason behind BuildHer, basically, because of this very scenario, you know, Black women who have amazing ideas, innovations and initiatives, who are going to somebody like an investor or a bank manager and pitching an idea which is very viable and something that has a lot of potential. But because it's usually the gatekeepers, as we call them, are usually Caucasian men, just statistically, you then have this, you know, Caucasian man looking at you, and you're trying to pitch something that could be very ethnic, you know, ethnocentric, or something that appeals to a particular diverse group. And just because of his lack of understanding and his unconscious bias, you know, that investment, that capital, that funding is not provided. And this was part of the reason why, you know, Black and brown and ethnic women in general are lacking behind in terms of having, you know, low levels of access to capital compared to men, compared to white women. So I just love the fact that you touched on that. Yeah. No, I'm glad. Well, it is a fact. It is like, I've seen it a lot, especially, you know, a lot of the clients that I have, they have said, well, I went to a business advisor, and I have a client, I'm not going to say no name, prior to the pandemic started, you know, she was appointed a business advisor through her university. And as the pandemic was starting, she was advised to just close up shop. You know, she was advised to know that it's not going to work. And I almost scolded her in the sense that she was very from a place of love. From a place of love, yes. And I said to her, you are not going to do that. You are not going to stop. You're not going to stop. You're not going to close up shop, because as Black women, she's in the hair and beauty industry. We spend more money on hair and beauty and skincare than any other ethnic group. So her telling you to close up shop is a predominant fact that she does not understand us. She does not and because every single shop was closed, where did I turn to buy my hair stuff, etc.? The internet. I ordered so much stuff from her, you know, and she said that, you know, it wasn't the boom she expected, but it showed her that she was in the right place, she was doing the right thing. So it's that lack of understanding. And once again, I'm not going to say it was racial profiling, etc. It's like you said, that unconscious bias. They can only think from their point of view, just like I can only think from the point of view of a Black woman. I love that. And, you know, I'm so glad that you encouraged your friend to continue. And, you know, which brings me nicely onto like our next topic, and COVID. You know, how has COVID, if it has, affected, you know, your business, or has it affected other people, other women's businesses that you know of? Well, in terms of COVID, I'm gonna, you know, the whole situation is it's terrible. You know, a lot of people have passed, and it's caused a global pandemic like we've never seen before.
Yeah.
However, it has been so good to me in terms of business that a lot of people, I think, had the downtime that they needed, that they've required, they didn't know they needed at times, to actually sit down and think about their business and think about that idea that they've had, and they've gotten started. So I've had a little bit of a surge, a little bit of a spike in terms of business. So it's been very good to me, and it's continuing to be good because with the whole thing of the recession coming up, a lot of people have shut up a bit. A lot of people are scared, but a lot more people are thinking, okay, so I could lose my job. Let's just throw it all in the wind and do what I need to do.
Yeah, and that's something that we've definitely noticed as well. I think because of the craziness of the whole situation, I think women in particular, what I've seen is that they're actually starting things slightly more, and they're taking that risk because it's almost like, well, there's nothing to lose now, literally. And people have died, and it could have been me, and what have I that thing that I've wanted to do or start, I haven't even tried it, so like, why not now? And I think that's something I've definitely noticed as well, which is great, I think.
Oh no, definitely, but at the same time as well, I'm not sure whether these statistics from the UK or the US, but Black women are the largest group of startups and entrepreneurs. So we are always looking for something to do, looking for something to start. But I think this pandemic has definitely been a push for a lot of women who were afraid. A lot of women who were thinking, what if this, what if that? And again, this pandemic just went, let me just throw it all in the wind and see, Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, as sad as you said, as sad as the situation has been, in every crisis, some people are going to actually rise, and some people, it's going to be the opposite. So thankfully, yes. But you've not been personally, affected or impacted health-wise by COVID or anything?
Not by COVID, not well. I have been one of the few people I would say who literally stuck to the guidelines. And when they said stay home, I stayed home. And even though they're trying to open up the world a little bit at a time, personally, I feel like it's a little bit too quick. So I'm still a bit skeptical to come out. And then, there's partial lockdowns throughout Manchester. So I'm still staying indoors. Yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful. And apart from, because I work in the healthcare industry, so apart from going to work, we definitely stuck to the guidelines. And it was frustrating seeing people just blatantly going about their business. Yeah. It's really annoying for those of us who are making sacrifices, like you and I. So on to the next thing that happened, like in the middle of COVID, which is the Black Lives Matter movement. And have you seen, what are your thoughts on that, first of all?
My thoughts are a bit controversial, simply because I've always been very vocal on anything that involves Black people. I'm a Black woman. I have Black parents. I have 2 little sisters and a little brother who I adore. And when I see a Black man getting shot, I think of my dad. When I see a Black child getting shot, I think of my brother. When I see, Black women being mistreated, I think of me. I think of my sister. So it does affect me deeply. With everything that happened this year, it was nice to finally just be listened to for a moment. Okay, just for that moment, the whole world just went, okay, you know what? We've messed up. We've let them down deeply. For that specific moment, it was nice to be listened to. However, there are so much stuff that needs to be done. So much, not just like in conversation with, other people of color and other parties in the world, but within our own communities as well. So I feel like this was literally just the tip of the iceberg. After God knows how many years, we finally broke that tip. And now there's so much to do, so much to change. I've always been, like I said, I've always been very vocal, but now I feel like with the way things are going, my advocacy will become a bit more quiet towards social media and actually touching the right agencies and speaking to the right people to make sure that things are actually done for the change that needs to happen.
I love that so much. So you want to focus now on action rather than just
Yes.
social media activism.
Yes,
which is necessary. Social media activism is necessary because it, because of awareness. It increases awareness. But I think, just as you said, now is the time for taking action and actually being vocal and, sending those emails, picking up the phone and speaking to the right people if there's something that is unacceptable that we come across or experience. So yes, I do love that message. And is it something that you think will, obviously the hashtag has quietened down, but do you think the positive effects of this conversation that happened, do you think it's going to last and continue going forward?
I think it's going to take a lot of time, because I feel like, some people have felt like, okay, so I've shared the hashtags, I've shared the black screen, that's my part done. Some people feel that way, whereas other people, I think, and forgive me if I say his name wrong, is Edward Enifo, I think, is it? The editor of Vogue now, who was racially profiled as he was going into work, yet he's your boss.
Yeah, you can't make it up. You can't make it up.
And he clearly said, just because, it's quite, we're going back to our normal lives, this should not carry on. So I feel like I said, it was just the tip of the iceberg. There is so much that needs to be done. There are times, I can recall situations where me and my mom were being followed in the store. I can recall incidents like that. I can recall the time where my brother was excluded from school because he was play fighting with a girl, and because he's a big black boy, they thought that he was beating her up. So there are so many instances. There is a lot that needs to be done. So tip of the iceberg. Some people have listened. Some people still need a lot more. Yeah.
That's such a sad story, and I hope your mom raised hell, for your brother at that time. That's so frustrating. It really saddens me hearing stories like that. I hope she raised hell at the school.
Oh, I did.
Oh, you did. I love that. Even better.
Yes.
Even better.
I think because my mom is from the older generation, it's just one of those whereby,
yeah, just get on with it.
She's frustrated. She's hurt, but she's like, you know what? Let's just I don't want it to be excluded. Yes, I don't want it to be excluded for good, but I raised hell. Yes.
No, I think our generation are, definitely. We are definitely more vocal, and what I always used to say, although it's a bit controversial, but I'll just say, we are not our ancestors, so you're not going to get away with it.
Exactly. So, no, that's absolutely right. Yeah, I agree with you.
And in terms of, I'm sure you've heard of Black Pound Day.
Yes.
Yeah. And have you been getting involved with that? I know it's kind of only 2 cycles that have happened so far, but have you got involved with that? Have you had like an offer or discount or deal or anything?
Well, on Black Pound Day, what I always, to me, I try to make every single day Black Pound Day. Simply because, again, being based in Manchester, there is an area called Moston where I go and shop. I live in a very predominantly Asian area, so I can go to the Asian corner shop and find any ethnic food that I want, but I choose to purposely go to Moston, to purposely shop there, to purposely buy foods, etc. from black owned stores, because at the end of the day, that's that. But on Black Pound Day,
say that again. Wait, you just have to say that again. At the end of the day, that's that. I love that.
That's that. Yes,
that is your explanation.
Yes, it needs to be. I feel like as a community, before we involve other people, we need to stop saying I need to support black business, because a black business is just that, a business. Stop saying I'm supporting and just buy. and that's that, like I said before. So yes, on Black Pound Day, what I choose to do is to use my platform, because I spend a lot of time on social media, but I use my stories to promote other businesses, because my platform is becoming more and more successful, which I am grateful for. And on Black Pound Day, what I do is any other Black business, I just share it. I spend my whole day talking about other businesses, because at the end of the day, if you don't know that they're there, how are you going to buy from them? Okay, if you have an offer, that's fine, but all I do is talk about other businesses. That's all I do on Black Pound Day. Yeah.
I love that so much. And awareness is definitely key. And yes, we've made a conscious decision as well to kind of skip, and I'm aware of the shops you're talking about in Boston. And some of them, one in particular, is still very much, Asian, owned, basically. So we make a conscious decision to also look for the ones that are actually, owned by African people, because that's that.
Yes, exactly.
I'm going to steal that. I hope you don't mind. I love it.
Of course, go ahead.
And, finally, for those who don't see the importance of, why do we need a platform like BuildHer, which is for Black women or brown women? Why isn't it for everyone? Like, they just, thankfully most people do understand the reasoning behind it. But for the ones that don't, like, what are your thoughts? How do you think that can be communicated? Why is a platform like BuildHer necessary?
I feel like, I've spoken to you, of course, before with regards to your business before this conversation, and a lot of the Black causes, a lot of the ethnic causes, if that, are overshadowed. And when we try to bring our causes forward, especially in a predominantly Caucasian, a predominantly white, platform, it's almost like we're complaining, and unless we have a white savior, nothing can get done. So I feel like your platform, because it is a necessity at the end of the day, your platform is pushing, what Black women are doing for Black women, to help their community, to help themselves, to help do what they need to do, is very important. So if people do not understand that, it's because they haven't lived in our shoes and haven't felt our experiences. But you, I don't know your full story, but you understand the issues and the problems that Black women go through. So that's why your platform is there. So I think it's very important. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And where can people find you if they want to contact you, or you do one-to-one consulting as well as you do group consulting?
Well, what I do is I'm on social media, but I'm predominantly on Instagram. So on Instagram, what I do is on a Wednesday and a Thursday at 6 p.m, I have a marketing clinic where I talk about, all things marketing. So the past couple of weeks, we've talked about Instagram, Twitter, direct marketing, email marketing. We talked about hashtags. We talked about the things that your business needs to have. And in the coming weeks, we're going to talk about hashtags again and Facebook marketing. And you can contact me, through Instagram by my DM, but I have my website, www.mokoymonologue.com, where you can book a free 30 minutes consultation, and then we can take it from there. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time, Gaelle. And it's been really, really great speaking to you. And I really believe that a woman listening to this, or a girl listening to this, is going to pick up on some gems that you've dropped for us today. So I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you as well. And again, BuildHer, I love that platform. Yes.
Thank you. And we'll talk after the show.
No problem. Thank Amazing. You so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Hi. Thanks for watching our latest episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, why not subscribe to our channel? And click the notification bell so that you will always be notified when we upload. We'll be bringing you interviews from female founders, men and women who have crowdfunded successfully, and experts in different industries like marketing, branding, PR, and more. So you will have lots of information, tools, and resources from the very best to help you get to where you need to be. We at BuildHer are all about the economic empowerment of Black and brown females. Thank you, and see you soon.